Yeah, I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Mr. President, what do you want to do about that?
And I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. We'll see what we're going to do. What am I going to tell you? You're the fake news, aren't you? You're totally fake. All right, any other questions? I don't like what Putin is doing, not even a little bit. He's killing people. And something happened to this guy, and I don't like it. That's all I have to say.
Big news from Memorial Day weekend. Someone notified Donald Trump that Vladimir Putin has been thumbing his nose at him ever since he baselessly claimed that he could end the war in Ukraine just by simply being president. But I am still confused about who Trump thought Putin was before he changed into a murderous leader that sent even more rockets into Ukraine the night before. This is what Trump posted after he was surprised to see Putin bomb more Ukrainian cities during these empty peace talks. I've always had a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He's gone absolutely crazy. He's needlessly killing a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. I've always said that he wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it, and maybe that's proven to be right. But if he does, it will lead to the downfall of Russia. Likewise, President Zelensky is doing his country no favors by talking the way he does. Everything out of his mouth causes problems. I don't like it, and it better stop. This is a war that would never have started if I were president. This is Zelensky's, Putin's, and Biden's war, not Trump's. I'm only helping to put out the big and ugly fires that have been started through gross incompetence and hatred. Other than his energy that's like, did you guys know that Putin is still bombing Ukrainian cities while we kiss his ass? All he could focus on was making himself look better, now that he's realizing how much Putin has been playing him. His mention of Zelensky's message seems to be proof that it forced him to finally respond too. Because after highlighting the latest devastation that Russian rockets have caused, the Ukrainian president wrapped it up by saying, each such terrorist Russian strike is a sufficient reason for new sanctions against Russia. Russia is dragging out this war and continues to kill every day. The world may go on a weekend break, but the war continues, regardless of weekends and weekdays. This cannot be ignored. Silence of America, silence of others around the world only encourage Putin. While Trump grows through this crisis of realizing how much he's been getting embarrassed, let's remember some of the moments that got him in Putin's back pocket, for easy ass-kissing access.
If we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want.
No idea what happened to Vladimir Putin. Maybe this will jog his memory.
He said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. Trump said Putin's smart. I mean, he's taken over a country for $2 worth of sanctions. I'd say that's pretty smart.
A remote ass-kissing session to praise him for invading Ukraine. But even after months of nonsense negotiations that he thought would make him look good, he still held on to the belief that things were moving along in some good faith, where the only people offending him were the journalists asking him the obvious questions.
Don't forget, you think he wants peace? You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he does. I think because
even with the raining missiles
I think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust
I
him?
think-
Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
And then
happy.
you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered
All
with
right,
a
we're back to
tattoo doesn't have the tattoo, you know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No,
But-
I'm not.
but Let me
No, I
just
am
tell
not,
you,
sir.
I don't trust a lot of people. But I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me. And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole.
You know, sometimes when extremely stubborn and egomaniacal people like this guy have forced moments of clarity and self-reflection on them, they lash out and attack the person that was the catalyst to their extreme discomfort. You know, he'll never fully acknowledge anything being his fault, especially after every other chance to see reality only forced him to promote himself and blame everyone else.
Do you think Russia's playing you?
No, nobody's playing me. I'm trying to help. You know, this was Biden's war. By the way, by me getting involved, you know, they'll say, oh, Trump. This is not Trump's war. This is Biden. This is a war that should have never happened. Okay? Think of it.
It's always been anyone else's fault, except for one guy.
So do you have a reaction to Russia's Palm Sunday attack on Ukraine?
I think it was terrible, and I was told they made a mistake. But I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing. I think the war is, for that war to have started, is an abuse of power. This country would have never allowed that war to have started if I were president. That war is a shame.
You know, it is important to remember some of these countless moments where this president simply refused to assign credit for Russia for even starting the war, you know, and its continued attacks while peace talks and ceasefires were supposed to be happening. And despite all the tough talk that was never directed towards Putin, even the people that didn't want to admit it have begun to admit it.
I think it looks really weak, which I think is something the president does not like, that image. But right now, I think he looks weak in these negotiations. But I think we're also forgetting, you know, that when Russia invaded, the sort of general wisdom was that Russia will overtake Ukraine in a matter of days or weeks. They survived for 3+ years and actually were degrading Russia's military significantly. Russia was needing Iran to provide drones, China to provide money, North Korea to provide troops. And so Ukraine was more than holding its own if they just were to get support from the world to say, we're going to stop a murderous dictator from invading our country.
So now that Trump did the extreme move of calling Putin crazy, the Russian response from the Kremlin spokesperson kept the same energy of dismissing him like a nuisance that they don't have to be bothered with. We're really grateful to the Americans and to President Trump personally for their assistance in organizing and launching this negotiation process. Of course, at the same time, this is a very crucial moment, which is associated, of course, with the emotional overload of everyone, absolutely, and with emotional reactions. So they're just like, he's being emotional, you guys. He'll calm down and remember who owns who in this friendship between himself and Vladimir Putin. You know, but it's almost like they're asking him, what are you going to do about it? Besides post on Truth Social and claim false victories. This is what following a transparently weak and potentially compromised president like Donald Trump does for the country. You know, it's why people are critical of his first few months of his presidency, mostly dealing and selling himself to every rich person in the world, because he owes them political clout and decisions. And we've been able to see it for years when it comes to his relationship with Putin.
Just now, President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every U.S. intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. My first question for you, sir, is who do you believe?
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.